Welcome, everybody. It is a Saturday night, and we're going to have a fantastic evening together. And I always love our early show because this is our closest friends. And so most of you know what to do. Give us your name and where you're from. And congratulations, John. You got in there first, just like you usually do. Um, Give us your name, where you're from. And because our show tonight and this weekend is all about healing from the inside out, any thoughts, questions that you might have about healing? What does healing mean to you? What does healing from the inside out mean to you? I know many of you were probably on the show last night, which was a great show. So, any thoughts, comments? We love to read it and see what's alive for all of you. And welcome again. I see so many of our familiar friends. It's great to have all of you with us, all the way from Tennessee to New York, Florida to Alabama, Virginia to California. It's pretty exciting. Well, I'm going to get right to introducing the two people that have really put the show together this weekend. And that is Teresa Collins. And you probably know by now that Teresa comes and we collaborate every 3 months. And she does the Global Coherence Pulse. And they do an event during the day, which is always powerful. You're going to hear about that. And then we do our evening show. And of course, now that we're doing the Awakening World, which is all weekend, it's been really fun collaborating with Teresa all weekend long. And so I'm going to let her introduce Jennifer, but I just got to say Jennifer is amazing. She's been fabulous to work with. But I
Well,
will let
let's
Teresa
leave,
take it
let's
over.
leave you on for a minute, Scott, and let's pull Jennifer on.
All right.
Yeah, let's all
There
come on.
she is.
I want to acknowledge Scott. The three of us have all been doing these events since the beginning of, kind of COVID and sheltering in and consistently. You've been doing it every Saturday. We've been doing it, once a month and then oftentimes more. And Jennifer was doing one every single Monday, a meditation. And, we've done that. And it's really clear the level of professionalism and care and consistency and everything that we've all poured into it. So I just want to say yay for us. We've done
Yeah.
such a great job, and we've offered so many beautiful opportunities for the community to come together and to actually experience communion and support of what community does, and be in the practice of building greater coherence or healing or whatever it is. So I just wanted to say yay us to start with.
Thank you for that. And it's true. It's true. I
Yeah.
have not missed a weekend since March of 2020. And that's amazing that Jennifer every Monday and all that you do, Teresa.
Yeah,
So, but you know what? I think
becoming
that the
grateful.
pandemic's finally lightening down and I'm beginning to think about some live events. So hopefully
Yes, that's
some
for
of us will
sure.
be meeting and actually hugging and connecting soon. So,
That's for sure. And I just want to acknowledge, I saw that Deborah Giusti is on the line, on the thing, and she said hello in the chat. And I just want to say, same to you, Jen. I mean, Deborah, this is like patting on your back as well.
yeah.
So as Scott said, we partner every quarter with the Global Coherence Pulse, and we would have like a day around a theme, and now we've had a weekend around a theme, and the theme was healing from the inside out, and it was inspired by my desire to feature Jennifer and the exciting work she's doing with Om Heals. And this is the global launch of Om Heals this weekend. And so, Jennifer, I am so grateful that we just picked this time to bring this out into the world. And what an incredible night last night, day this morning, what's going to happen tonight, magical, that we're all really here to support each other in our healing and evolving. And I love you, and I'm excited for Om Heals and for all that you do.
Thank you so much, Teresa. I love you so deeply. You are a soul sister to me. And I love that this journey that has brought us all together, that's brought us all here to this early show, is just the synchronicities and the weaving and the intermingling of all of our energies as we're all popping awake. Thus, this show is called Awakening World, like little flecks of light. And I know you and I have talked before about the imaginal cells, Teresa. You know, as we're going through and catalyzing, before the caterpillar can become a butterfly, it has to completely and utterly transform and surrender. And that is truly how we heal from the inside out. In order to get our wings, we need to transform into the beings that we're meant to be. And that's my invitation for everybody this weekend. Explore and look at what are you willing to release and let go. We have beautiful people here with us on the early show. Shakti Durga from Australia and Maitreya, who joined us earlier today for the Pulse. They're going to be doing our opening music and answering some questions right now out of the Ignite Your Spirit modality that Shakti Durga created, once a barrister in Sydney, Australia, and now one of the top healing teachers in the world. And Maitreya's soulful music, which we had everybody cheering at the Pulse earlier, asking encore, encore.
Encore.
And so we're actually going to be offering that a little bit later. And we also have with us Dr. Bradley Nelson, best-selling author of the book, The Emotion Code. I had the honor of interviewing Dr. Nelson last year and have been following his work closely ever since. His work is just so profound in understanding that when we release the emotions that are stuck in our body, that is when we connect to the health and vitality already within us. So thank you to each of you for being here. Thank you to Scott Katamas for creating this beautiful space and Deborah Giusti. And I'd love to see if anybody has questions in the chat about health and healing. Please feel free to let us know. And perhaps today what we could do is we could start by just saying 2 or 3 sentences about what healing from the inside out means to you. So Maitreya, you're probably not expecting this, but I'm going to go to you first. Oh, can you talk? Can we hear you okay? Oh, I think we can't hear you. Let's see here. Oh, Shakti Durga, I think we need to unmute.
Yeah, done.
Perfect. So
You
Maitreya, if
guys
you
can
could,
hear. You
yes,
guys
we
can
can
hear
hear you
now.
great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Jennifer, Teresa, Scott, everyone. It's an honor to be with you, to connect, and healing from the inside out. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's for me the music. I've studied with Shakti Durga for many years and been practicing the energy healing for so many years, and that has really helped me transform and grow. And I loved what Jennifer was just talking about, the butterflies. You know, the caterpillar doesn't sort of wonder, what am I, you know, how am I going to turn into that? You know, it's, but we all have a big journey, and you know, all the winding path, and there's so much happening in our world, and you know, we're all seeking connection, but we all feel the feelings, and the mind can be the best friend or the enemy. For me, the music combined with meditation and the other practices and looking after my health on all levels, it's a lifelong practice, but healing from the inside out, the tools that Shakti Durga's taught me over the years, and my practices, and mantra. You know, I love all traditions, and Shakti Durga's given me a sort of great a love for so many of the different traditions and the indigenous people. There's just so many jewels in the different pathways, and it's beautiful. You know, but for me, the chanting of the mantras, which there's some languages which have such power and ancient, and the reason they've been passed on for thousands and thousands of years, because they have I feel like the mantras, when I first heard them, I'm like, what are they going on about? And why do they keep going on and on? Like with the sacred music, the kirtans, like, why do they keep going on and on about the same thing? And I had no idea what it meant. But then I'd find myself humming at my work, and all the stress would be melting away. I'm like, there's something to this, and I just feel the mantras, which is like have such a gift that we can put into music and then bring the joy into our healing work, because sometimes the healing work is a chore. It's an effort, takes such dedication and courage. But for me, the music really sweetens the deal. It's like when sometimes the mum will give the child the medicine, but it's got to taste sweet. Oh, I'll take the cough syrup because it tastes sweet. Well, for me, the music, when it's infused with love and with these mantras, they come from nature, they come from the earth, and therefore I feel like they help us remember our own nature. Does that make sense?
Perfectly,
Jennifer?
Maitreya.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and cannot wait to hear more of your beautiful music with Shakti Durga. And Shakti Durga, what about you, my friend? What does healing from the inside out mean for you?
Well, for me, it's about getting in touch with your core and knowing who you are from your essence. So rather than from what thought is in my mind right now, or who just said what to me, or what emotion is bubbling up, but to use anything. You can use anything as a way to go in. You can use your emotional body to go in. You can use the mind. You can use mindfulness. You can use mantra. You can use music. But we all develop over time our own way in. And for me, I find that energy healing is a great way in for me to work on my energy field, my chakras, my centers, and for me, healing on that deep level, it seems to ripple out through the world. And so for me, it's multifaceted, but get in touch with your essence, and then healing will just happen naturally.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Shakti Durga. And Dr. Bradley Nelson, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for taking time to share with us about your incredible work with the book, The Emotion Code, bestseller around the world. Tell us, what does healing from the inside out mean for you?
Well, first of all, let me just say how excited I am to be here with all of you. I think that your movement is so needed, and I know that it's going to keep growing and continuing. And so my prayer is that will happen, and this will just grow and fill the world. Well, healing from the inside, to me, all healing takes place from inside out. And of course, to me, it has to do with the body being an energy field, really. And we don't normally think of that. At least most people don't think of our bodies that way. But the body, of course, is just an energy field when you get right down to it. And so those emotional energies, those intense events that we go through, we're built to survive. And so we move on with our lives, but yet we carry that emotional baggage then in so many cases with us. And what I've learned is that all the symptoms that we have, whether they're mental or emotional, whether they're depression or anxiety or phobias or panic attacks or PTSD or eating disorders or sabotage of some kind that we do to ourselves, or whether it's infertility or asthma or digestive problems or some kind of named disease, or whether it's just physical pain, emotional baggage is always present. And in many cases, by removing that emotional baggage, by removing those energies that are imbalancing that body's energy field, those things change, those symptoms can change. And to me, all of those symptoms, all of the things that manifest in our lives that are not really what we would like to have, all of those symptoms, mental, emotional, or physical, if you can't find your soulmate, if you don't have enough money in your bank account, you can't seem to create the life you want, the first place to look is really emotional baggage, and that's all inside. So cleaning really that energy field of who we really are, and becoming more pristine and more pure beings, more clear vessels, is such a wonderful thing. And really what it's all about, to me, ultimately, is it's all about unconditional love and our ability to feel that and give that. And the more of that baggage we have, the harder that is to do. And so the world is filling up gradually with people who have made that ascension. They're on that path. And the path, to me, is all about unconditional love. And that, I think, is, you see in the world these opposing forces of dark and light and hatred and unconditional love. And unconditional love is going to win the battle. And it's exciting to be on the earth at this time when finally things are coming to a head. The earth, to me, is in labor, and it's trying to bring forth this whole new world. And so it's so exciting to be a part of this. And I want to thank you for inviting me tonight, because it's through the kind of work that you're doing that the vibrational level of this world is raising. And as it raises, there's no going back. So thank you.
So beautiful, Dr. Nelson. Thank you so much. And I feel compelled to share. There was a beautiful bracelet my sister gave me one day that had a little charm on it. And I'd like to invite us all to consider this as we go into this evening. The charm on the bracelet said this: let this be your greatest task. Let this be your greatest joy, to give people back to themselves, even in their darkest hour, especially in that hour. And imagine, what if we could all mirror that for one another, that when we're in our deepest, darkest time, that we have those around us who uplift and hold us in that space of perfection that we forgot exists internally within each and every one of us. And I'd love to ask and inquire. I know Scott had posted in the chat, we were on the same page, Scott, about thinking about what does healing from the inside out mean for you. And I would love to have each of our panelists in this pre-show share about some of the tools. We're going to dive into this, of course, throughout the show more tonight. But what are some of the tools that we can do to clear our internal energy? I know it's something that it seems easier said than done, and that's where this energetic healing and quantum healing, which Deepak is going to be sharing with us later, gets into. What are some tools so that we can give ourselves energetic showers and clean and release and allow the things that no longer serve us to dissipate? Shakti Durga, do you have any thoughts on that for our pre-show guests?
Yes, I think that sometimes it can be extremely helpful to go to somebody who's got a lot of experience in helping people to go into their inner landscape, such as probably most of the panelists here, so that somebody can look in with fresh eyes to just see where our blocks are. Because one of the things that I notice in myself and also in clients who come to see me is that we have our blind spots and we just can't see where we're blocked. And so for us to be able to just have that other pair of eyes who compassionately look at us, so there isn't any judgment. You know, if you go to a therapist and they're judgy, just go, don't stay. Don't listen to anything they might want to tell you. And find somebody who's just got that compassion and kindness about them and who makes you feel like it's safe and it's good to be you. And I think accepting ourselves exactly as we are at this moment of imperfection is a starting place to be able to go on a deep dive to discover a whole lot of things. And even though, as some people have said and Brad said a minute ago, sometimes there's all these things that have gone wrong in our life and all this pain that we've experienced one way or another, but that is the springboard, you know, that is the signal that there's something there that we can actually use it like grist to the mill to our own dive into our own essence. And for me and for, you know, all the people that I sort of hang out with on a day-to-day basis, the gift of going into your inner core is so worth it, you know. And I feel that when we don't live from that heart-centered place where we've done some clearing, and then when we think we're clear, we have to do some more clearing, and that it's an ever-growing garden of possibility, really. I think that the tool of going and seeing a healer, going and seeing someone who's an expert on the emotions, going and seeing someone who's an expert on the mind or the soul or the Buddha nature, whatever is it you're attracted to, follow that essence of what you're attracted to, because your inner guidance will be giving you that buzz that, yes, that person kind of lights up for me. I want to go and see that person and follow that inner guidance. And you're likely to find treasure that you just never expected. I think when you do that, it's as different, really, life becomes so different. It's like watching television in black and white before you do the work on yourself, and then suddenly the whole world's in color and you didn't know all those colors even existed. That's the metaphor I'd sort of share of the treasure of going through your stuff into the freedom that lies beyond it.
So beautiful, Shakti Durga. I have a dear friend of mine, Dr. Mark Golston, who told me once when he worked as a psychiatrist at a hospital that he would empathize so strongly with his patients that one day the world around him went black and white, and he was sitting here with a suicidal patient. And he said, "What's happening?" He's thinking about it, and he's a MD, normal doctor. And then for the first time ever, he realized he was seeing the world through his patient's eyes. And he saw that all the color had dropped out of the world. and he could really feel the pain that his patient was going through. And when he acknowledged that pain with his patient, the patient was able to feel seen and heard for the first time, that she wasn't alone, and that somebody else knew what it was like to live in a colorless world. And that was the precipice that led to her healing. So thank you for sharing that. So beautiful. And Dr. Bradley Nelson, I know we only have a short time left before we wrap up this early show. Tell us, what would be some tools? You obviously have a plethora of tools in your amazing books, the Emotion Code. Please talk to us a little bit about what some of your favorite tools are to connect to that inner wholeness within ourselves.
Well, the most important part of the Emotion Code book is the part about the heart, because the heart is really the core of our being and the seat of our soul and the source of love and romance. And the heart of each one of us contains, I believe, a perfect blueprint of what our life can be. But the problem is our heart gets hurt. And there are times in our lives when we feel like our heart is breaking, and we feel that physical sensation, that pressure on the chest and so on. And when that's going on, what happens is, in many cases, the subconscious mind will put up a wall around that heart. And that wall is an energy wall. It's an invisible wall. And it's made of it's literally made of your emotional baggage. And so I believe that one of the very most important things you can do for yourself is to take down that wall. Now, there may be other ways to do it. The Emotion Code teaches you how to do it. It's all very simple, and you can learn how to do it yourself. You don't have to hire someone if you don't want to. You can do it yourself. Lots of people have. And it's a matter of finding and taking out and releasing all of that baggage so that your heart can be open again. And what's fascinating about this is that when that wall is taken down, people spontaneously fall in love sometimes, pretty often, really. People find that creative ideas start to flow for them, ideas that they never would have considered, because the best ideas that you'll ever have will really not come from this brain. They'll come from this brain, right? But the problem is, if you've got this big wall around your heart from, being abused as a child or bullied, or maybe your parents went through a divorce, or maybe you went through a divorce, or maybe you had a bad job, or whatever it is, that can be the biggest thing in your way of healing physically and mentally and emotionally. So that's the most important part, really, of the work that I have done. And it's and I never in my wildest dreams would have thought of this myself, but in the book it tells you how this was really discovered, and it's an incredible story. How it was really shown to me in vision. I saw it, and another interesting thing about it is that many times people have told us that when that wall is taken down, they suddenly can feel connected to the Creator. They feel the love of the Creator for them, which is such a profound thing, really, since it's all about unconditional love. So anyway.
Yeah, and I must say, Dr. Nelson, it's so interesting that you bring that up. When we talk about the wall around our heart, I would have never believed this, but I work with one of the top blood biologists in the world, and I just saw him in LA to get my blood work done before I headed back. And about 5, 6 years ago, I was in a miserable, unhappy relationship. I wasn't well in myself. And the first time he checked my blood, he said there was this thing called armoring, where our body actually holds on to metals or iron, and you actually build an armor around your body. And just recently, when I saw him, he said, Jennifer, I can actually see whatever work you're doing, you're starting to take down that armor. So we're not even just talking about the energetic aspect of it. There's actually medical and physiological data that correlates to that. And when we begin to understand that, we can really tap into what is blocking us, what is blocking our heart, and how do we breathe into and allow that wall, that moat with the dragons and the fire to kind of drop down, so we can connect to one another at a truly human level. So thank you so much, Dr. Brad, who's here with us today. Again, Dr. Bradley Nelson for the pre-show, Maitreya, Shakti Durga. I want to turn it back over to Scott and Teresa as I know we're about to go into the live show here, and so deeply grateful. Please stay with us as Dr. Brad is going to be one of our first guests right after some opening words from Maitreya and music as well from Shakti Durga.
Well, we've got about a minute and a half before I have to start working on Facebook. So I'm wondering if this might be a good opportunity for us to talk a little bit briefly, and we'll do it again later, about Om Heals, because that's a really exciting venture that you have created. So I'm pulling up the website, and tell us about Om Heals.
Thank you so much, Scott, and thank you to Teresa for featuring us. I feel so privileged and honored to be a part of this journey with my incredible business partner, Moon Cho. She invited me to go on this path with her and said, Jen, what would you think if we created a platform that matched energy medicine practitioners from around the world with users who are seeking healing? And it's a very intimate thing to receive any form of healing, whether it's therapeutic or energy healing. That requires a safe space. So we developed an in-house algorithm that within 3 to 5 percentage points across 4 variables can tell you who you match best with. We actually have emotion code practitioners such as Sue Pine on our platform. Incredible, many of Shakti Durga's wonderful healers, Maitreya being one of them, his beautiful wife Sada, Salvatore, and many others. So if you'd like to be matched, it's completely free to get matched and see who your ideal matches are. You can go to om-heals.com and answer our matching questions, which will custom match you with 3 practitioners. Otherwise, you can also look at a full list of our practitioners and book directly if you see that one of them resonates with you. So thank you for the opportunity, Scott.
Absolutely. And thank you, Jennifer, for bringing all these wonderful people to the awakening world. And again, I want to thank everybody who's in the Zoom room chatting with us. And we are going to have some connection time in the after show as well. So thank you. I also just want to acknowledge it was exciting to me that Dr. Bradley and Shakti Durga are talking so much about love and compassion. And as somebody that every weekend I'm doing a show with different leaders in different fields, but you know what? Whether it's environmental leaders, spiritual leaders, mystical leaders, everyone's pretty much saying the same thing. It's time for us to really drop deep into self-compassion, self-love, and compassion for each other. So it's pretty cool that across the board, that's what people are coming to. All right, this is officially the conclusion of our early show.